Hey, what's going on, everybody? I knew I wanted to start a YouTube channel and doing something. I started fishing this year, first time since I was a kid. I gotta admit, it is a bit of a crappy day outside. Without rambling too much, I'm gonna sound off with a few bits and pieces of gear that I use when I'm traveling. I don't want to have a bunch of tackle with me. I could just be going to work. I always have fishing gear in my car. So, in this case, I do have all of my fishing gear with me. We got a light, a few rods, a bucket, you know, the essential. But in the case of the everyday businessman, let's say you want to go fish the river by the place that you work or by the place that you live. Maybe you're working from home and you can walk down to the creek. Let's get into it. Firstly, I'm using the Lew's LS75 Ultralight spinning reel. That's about 20 bucks at Walmart. Now, I've since switched the original fluorocarbon line out of here for some 10-pound test super braid, but I do always use a fluorocarbon leader, which I'll go over later. This is a Shakespeare rod, also from Walmart, 20 bucks, rated 2 to 6 pounds, and I really use it for anything under 7 grams in weight. By the way, the spool holds 120 yards of line. You know we gotta have that handy dandy fishing license. Sometimes I'll throw sinkers and split shots in here, but the word of the day is organization. So first things first, we got a handy dandy first aid kit, and I keep some super glue in here too, which I use to keep my soft plastic baits on my hooks, on my Ned hooks, which I'm going to go over here in a little bit. It really helps keep your plastics all day. So firstly, I have a variety of hook sizes. I believe these are a number 3. These are, I believe, an eighth of an ounce, 3.5 grams. These are the ones I use the most. These are the ones I catch bass on the most. But I really like these Ned hooks because they catch anything. And I'm not sure what they're trying to imitate exactly in the water, but it does a damn good job at doing it. The bass love it, panfish love it, even trout love it. Speaking of panfish, I have some of these size 4 hooks in here, and I usually just bait those up and set them up on a Carolina rig. Same with these smaller size 10 hooks that I use primarily for trout. I said I would catch trout with a Ned rig, but I primarily use Carolina while I'm out fishing on the bank. We'll save Carolina for another video. I actually found this worm on the ground. I was just out walking, so I rigged it up and caught a bass with it later that day. And I got a couple other worms in here that I pretty much just fished, just like the Ned rig, which is similar to a Texas rig, but the hardware is all right there. It's super easy to tie up. Here's one of those Yamamoto Senko worms. I like cutting worms in half to be the size of a TRD. This here's a little whitetail grub. I like to keep some kind of jig on me. These are actually a new kind of bobber stop to me. I haven't used these before, but I'm used to the rubber ones, and I threw them in my kit just to give them a try. I don't really use bobber stops a lot, but I want a Texas rig more. These split shots are really easy to press with your fingers, and sometimes with pliers you can get them off or tight, depending on what you're shooting for. And then I'll also use these barrel swivels to separate my main line from my leader line. The split shots would go right above the swivel on my main line, and it just adds enough weight or changes the action just enough to work the presentation exactly how I want it. So here's what one of those barrel swivels would look like attached to my line. Pardon the tag ends there. I have no idea why I'm jumping around, but going back to TRDs, look how stretchy these are. This is not the Elastec, but it's Plastisol. I got these from Temu, and I'm trying to compare them to the Z-Man, so I'll do another video with those then. I really like them, and I think they perform comparably, but I heard the Z-Mans were biodegradable, so do that what you will. Here's another Senko worm that I've cut down to the size of a TRD. And lastly, I have some more jigs to try. I'm new to fluke baits, I'm not gonna lie, but these fish kind of similar to the whitetail grub or like a larger size fluke or a regular jig, so I'm gonna mess with these a little more. That's why I have them in my kit. I have something that works, something to experiment with, and just, you know, the basic essentials. It's not too much gear. These little jigs are a little bit lighter than the whitetail grubs that I was showing off before. But you can see I have a couple different colors, and how that one's falling off the hook. That's what happens when you don't super glue them. So I might have some trouble with that when I try to cast it out. Moving on, we have leader line. I have a huge spool of this stuff, which I actually cut an extra slit into. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. And now I'm just gonna tuck it back away in the first slit. Bing, bang, boom, go back into the next slit. And now I can just throw that in my bag without having it explode, basically, and knot up. I like to keep some kind of float, and I've never tried these before, but they're a larger version of the Trout Magnet Easy Float. Now, you've heard me say Trout Magnet, but I don't keep them in my kit all the time. I figure I can float some of my jigs with these, or, you know, depending on the weight, I might be able to just attract a different fish. So I'm going to try a couple float style setups with this guy, and you can pause and read the instructions if you want. But normally I keep a red, white, classic bobber in there. Now, I feel like a good sized bag is going to limit you on how much you can take. Like, this one is so big, I'm going to be so tempted to fill it up with so much stuff and just have this big unnecessary tumor on my... But as a little bonus, I got a rod holder on my bicycle, and I think that that's a pretty good way to get around. But hopefully this video will help someone out who's just starting. Like, obviously I'm just starting fishing, and these are my experiences. These are my tried and tested methods that I've been using to catch fish, and I've been catching fish pretty much every time I go out. And I can't credit myself 100% to that. I've been using YouTube a lot, going down the rabbit hole. There's so many channels, and I'm gonna link them in the description of this video, that I feel like you should check out. And you know, stick around, hit that subscribe button. I don't know what this channel is gonna turn into, but I want to spread the knowledge. I'm gonna do some more fishing and some tutorials, and you know, just be a little goofy and see where it goes. So I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that I didn't go over in my kit, but sound off in the comments with any questions you have, critique, things that I'm carrying with me that you think is useless. Just let me know. I'm trying to grow as a fisherman and turn this channel into something that's exciting and knowledgeable and useful for people who are just starting out or are very well established in the community. There's people that have been fishing for years and still go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. And if you're one of those guys, hey, what's up? Leave a tip in the comment section. Thanks for watching the whole thing. See ya.